Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the festive winter wonderland.
Granddad. How dare you, Wendy? How dare you?
Wendy
with a period. Good evening, everybody. How are we? See, Wendy's
Alasdair.
already got her revenge. Exactly. Good evening, everybody. How are you doing?
Hey, folks.
Do the thing.
Hello. Hello, and welcome to the show. Under normal circumstances, we do 3 things on this show, but
Yes.
this week we have a very special guest.
Yes.
And I'm incredibly happy to just concentrate entirely on them because Evil Sky Grandad walks amongst us.
Along with, be prepared for the double act. They've already been at it backstage, folks. So tonight will be a Get Your Serotonin stream. Feel free to ask questions as we go along. I will try to capture them, and I'm sure the mods will give me a hand catching up on the questions as well. Quick note, just a reminder about chat rules. This is a fun and relaxing space.
Mm-hmm.
It is not a place necessarily to process difficult real world emotions or whatever personal things you might have going on. Those things are valid, and we hope that they're going well for you. But this is an escape kind of area. Yes, serotonin collection station. Very well put for rats. Very well for. And lots of people have had weeks that involve serotonin. I can't believe it's only Wednesday.
How is it somehow still Wednesday?
Monday was the
insane.
most Tuesday Monday I've ever had. It's been very busy. So, you've got the chat rules. We're going to introduce our amazing guest, and then I'm literally just going to scooch out of the frame and watch the two of them go. Folks, this stream has no content warnings other than swearing and accents. Oh,
yeah, that last one's probably needs to be underlined a bit.
Accents are going to happen tonight. So anything else you want to say? Oh, then we're going to chat with our guest for a while. And then afterwards we'll take a little break, and then we will come back, and there will be some shenanigans as well. But just no opening monologue this week.
No. Because this week's special guest is the magnificent, the incomparable Mr. Karim Kronfli, my fellow evil old man, my fellow embodiment of unsung heroism in the Magnus Archives.
Yes,
and the just one of the just most ludicrously prolific and fundamentally talented and just good people.
And see, this is the part where he makes faces at us because he's not on screen, and we embarrass him.
He's doing it now. He's doing it right now.
So,
I can see him.
I'm just gonna wait till he makes a really funny face, and then I'm gonna
cut across really quick.
Put him on camera. Let's see if I can pull this off. See, it worked. It totally worked. Good evening. How are you?
Hi, Karim. How are you?
How are you doing?
Good evening, everybody. I'm fine.
All right.
What a wonderful introduction.
All right,
Thank you for
evil
inviting me
Sky
on.
Granddad. Here we go.
So, how have you been, since the world ending?
Well, I'm presuming he's been in 3 podcast recording sessions just while he's waited for the stream to start.
Well, yeah, probably. I do actually have one I need to get done maybe tonight or tomorrow morning.
Of course. Of course you do.
We'll see. It's just one of those little pickup things we're going to do occasionally.
Do you keep track anymore? Do you take track of a count of I have been in X podcasts?
Yes, I do. I use my Podchaser creator profile.
For evil. What's the number?
Sorry?
What's the number?
I'm over 200 episodes.
Nice.
Dude.
That's Podchaser has an interesting interface when it comes to editing creator profiles. So that's not entirely accurate, but it's as close as I can get. And
you see,
occasionally I go in there and try and fix it again. But
I love how you say interesting, because you say it the same way I say interesting, and also the same way I say fuck you at certain websites. So, it is a challenge, isn't it?
Yes, it can be. And every time I work in a software house, so I try and talk to them about the bugs I find and all this kind of stuff. And they say, we've got something we're fixing the whole credit system. It's going to be fixed soon, and that they've been saying that for 2.5 years.
Oh, Lord.
So,
well, given the last 2.5 years in particular, I kind of see that, but at the same time,
yeah,
yeah, exactly.
But anyway. that doesn't stop it from still being one of the best podcast resources going for looking up podcasts, looking up audio drama, and finding your favorite creators and seeing what else they're in, etc. So this is not to say it's a bad system. It's a brilliant site. I've been supporting them since practically day one. I interviewed them when I was running the Audio Drama Hub podcast, and they're great. It's a really cool site that's really helpful if you want to find any kind of podcast you like. So
she says, quickly looking up your profile while you talk.
I'm actually really glad you brought that up, because that actually speaks to kind of one of the other streams of stuff we do. I don't know what it is, but for the last 3 or 4 weeks, 2 or 3 times a week, we have had emails which have literally been addressed, "Dear Mr. and Mrs. Cast, we are huge fans of your show," 3 spaces, "Escape Pod," block capitals. "We are launching a new podcast platform called Pod. Please be listed on it." And I don't know what it is about the last couple of weeks that's brought so many of these out of the woodwork. But compared to them, Podchaser it's like the Times. It's like this venerable location of record, you know?
Well, it beat IMDb to it, didn't it? Because for the longest time, IMDb would not list podcasts at all. No. And so Podchaser really kind of stepped in and filled in a void, which is, there's a lot of this! We should really try and keep track of some of it.
And the great thing about Podchaser as well is it's automated. They pull all the data down from all the feeds themselves, and they either pull the feeds in from Apple directly or the various other directories, and then they do things like parsing the show notes and stuff like that. So if you're not quite sure what you've been in, but you're in the show notes, you can do a suggested credits thing, and it'll pull you up all your suggested credits, things you've probably appeared in.
And then you pay wonderful people who have all of these skills to go in and fix it and make it lovely and make it work.
See, again, I'm really glad you brought that up, because I had a mildly disturbing experience when we built my page of a show which ran for several episodes that I was apparently in that I have no memory of.
Yeah, that happens occasionally.
What? I don't remember that.
I was apparently in a 4-episode long Star Trek show as a Russian chief engineer.
Oh, go on then, Russian accent, please.
Well,
he's bad. He's going to be bad
because they wanted to come from Minsk. So I found accent pronunciation guide with phoneticism, which for some reason had line of dialogue about "please pass me the snow piece," and nothing about the lithium. Was very confused.
I can imagine.
Yes. Yes, but no, apparently I was in 4 episodes of it. I hope it was good.
I want to go listen now. We should have like a live listen of the archives of original, like older, early work from very established performers. That would be we could do a podcast.
I still had hair the first time I did one.
Oh hush. We could have a whole podcast about listening to early podcasts of known performers. That would be hilarious.
Oh, you don't want to hear my early ones. There are some very interesting early ones.
Everybody has to start somewhere, right?
Oh, absolutely.
My very first episode of Pseudopod, I sound like this unholy combination of that moment from Hackers where Matthew Lillard is connected to every computer on Earth, and the kid in the fast food restaurant in The Simpsons. The one who drops his watch in the deep fat fryer. I'll just get ow. Okay.
Oh dear.
Yes.
So fantastic. So there you go. Yeah.
Yes. No. So you have your Podchaser account fully up to date. What are you working on at the moment? Reasonably.
It's as close as I can get. I was literally updating it before we came on stream because. Jackie the Ripper's coming out this week, season 2, daily, and I was updating those 3 shows that have come out so far.
Nice.
Oh, fantastic.
You're in like a million different things right now, aren't you?
A reasonable amount, yeah.
Okay. Run it down.
Oh, here we go. Jackie the Ripper, which
everybody take your notes. Yes, exactly.
Which is a modern retelling of the Jack the Ripper thing, where Jackie is, of course, female, and it's by the same people who do The Offensive, which is a sort of audio comedy based on sort of Premiership football.
Okay.
So it's, shall we say, free and frank with its use of language.
With a name like The Offensive, I would have inferred things. How about that?
Yeah, and Jackie the Ripper is similarly so. So it's good fun, and I'm playing Sir Charles Warren, the Metropolitan Police Commissioner, with a lovely old accent like this. Abeline, surely this.
How long has he
was
remained commissioner?
fantastic.
It sounds like he's doing a lot better than modern ones.
Yes, exactly. Well, not quite on the take as the others are. So let's put it that way.
Guaranteed 80% less corrupt.
Yes.
Right.
But yeah, so there's that. I'm in Silly Old Bear. I think I'll be in the next episode. I wasn't in episodes 1 or 2. But I will
So
be in
tell
episode
everybody
3.
about this.
Silly Old Bear. You may or may not be aware that in January every year, various artistic works go out of copyright. And oh my god, I just see my face. That's terrible.
Yeah, you see the trademark lawyer warming up for this conversation. I'm like, yes, let's talk about this. Okay, go.
And of course, lots of people note when things are coming out of
Yep.
copyright. And Winnie the Pooh was one of those items. The A.A. Milne book.
The first.
Sadly,
A.A. Milne book.
Disney, humongous great Uber corporation that they are, still holds some rights over all kinds of bits and pieces. But the creators have gone as close to the books as possible, and they called it Silly Old Bear, and we're redoing the whole thing. So it's got superstars like Sarah Golding,
And you.
And you.
Yeah, maybe. I'm playing Owl, so that'll be fun.
Oh my
Oh,
God, that's
that's
perfect
so
casting.
perfect.
Yes, Ash Hunt is playing Pooh. Ash is brilliant. I'm trying to remember now. It's the Pluto space comedy. Guys based out of Oxford.
I know the Oblivion.
That's the one. Yes.
Love Oblivion. Such a lovely show.
Yeah, Ash is the Welsh guy.
The world's most endearingly squalid cyborg.
That's the one.
Yes, he's brilliant.
So that's great. You may, if those of you who are into your actual play may or may not be familiar with The Lucky Die, Hem Cleveland's actual play, and we've just done a 2-episode special where it's Sarah Golding, Karen Heimdall, and me doing a side quest, which has all kinds of interesting things on the main quest. So the last 2 episodes are us 3 having that game, and
Nice.
it's interesting, shall we say? And that one, I'm trying to do a broad Scots accent for my dwarf.
Nice.
You see, this is very much one of the areas where you excel, because my Scottish accent has actually been banned by the UN.
Yeah, but the thing is, your gloriously mellifluous tones are just wonderful to sort of chivvy people along and make it nice and gentle and absolutely no problem whatsoever. And then suddenly the last episode of Secret of St. Kilda happens and everyone starts crying. So,
I had so much fun.
Take the 5th. Just take the 5th and move on. I'm advising you to take the 5th.
On the advice of counsel.
Say thank you to the compliment and we'll move on.
Thank you.
We go.
Indeed.
And thank you, counsel.
So there you go. And another thing I'm in a few episodes of is Madison on the Air.
What's that?
Chrissy
one?
Talent-Sage out in Los Angeles is recreating old-time radio scripts with inserting a character called Madison Standish in taking over various of the characters. And Madison's this sort of classic sort of valley girl trying to cope without mobile phone signal and all kinds of things in old-time radio times.
God.
And I play various characters once again with variously different accents, either horrendously German or one of things like that. So, but it's one of those sort of high energy comedies that it can be a bit Marmite. You love it or you hate it.
Yeah.
It's like the blah girl in the real world girl in the blah world kind
Exactly.
of fan fiction.
Lost in Austin
trope.
kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
The only other analogy I had was the Dragon Age one, and that would be telling of myself. So.
The Connecticut Yankee and King Arthur's Court kind of deal, basically, sort of thing. But yeah.
Precisely, right?
But
Nice.
yeah, but it's if you're into it, it's great fun, and I have a great affection for anybody who can sustain a high energy comic character with a degree of believability and fun. Because it's so easy for those to go over the top and so easy for them to tire to the listener. But Chrissy does it absolutely beautifully. and does a great job. So that's one worth catching, and it's got nice funny lines, and it's good. I really enjoyed being on that and listening to it. That's cool.
That sounds really fun. Are they like particularly lengthy episodes, or are they
Uh,
shorter snippets? Do you think?
I think well, it's one show per episode.
Mm-hmm.
So the most recent one was the Green Hornet. Um,
I
uh,
see Kato and Asian Americans in Hollywood. So, oh
that's
boy.
heavily discussed, shall we say?
Yeah, imagine
Yeah,
that. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh no!
So
What a fun concept, though.
yeah.
absolutely.
I like that. I like that a lot.
I think she's planning on Dr. Kildare being the next one. I'm not in that one though, but
I see a trailer for Dr. Kildare. Yes.
exactly. So, and there's another one she's asked me to be in at some point in the future. So we'll find out when that script gets amended and
Which
adjusted
you will
to be.
not say.
I can't say at this point in time though.
I cannot say. There we
And
go.
and let us at this point. I will say the creator's mantra. I have a number of other projects in various stages of development.
Right.
But that'll do what I'm in at the moment, I think.
AKA my inbox and my calendar are a nightmare. Please come back to me when something releases.
I have 8 in my queue at the moment that I'm recording.
Good grief.
Dude,
Uh,
that's incredible.
well, it's or so they're either in recording, waiting for script, or similar. So
So what has your experience been like? I mean, over the last 2 years, I think everything's changed, especially in terms of remote content creation. It used to be much more common for people to get together in the real world, even if it was not in a studio, but with, in a space. And these days, we're finding table reads are much more the common situation, and of course that has a lot of the same advantages of in-person performance. It has some extra advantages as far as I'm concerned, because as a fan of shows, sometimes those table reads are made available to supporters or backers, and I always find it really fun to watch how like an early table read of a character or a group of characters interacting versus when that scene is actually finally produced, and how the energy changes or the sound design contributes or sometimes takes away from it.
yeah.
Is most of your recording these days much more remote than you're used to? Has like the way you record changed a lot?
I'll be honest, being an indie voice actor, 95%, 99% is remote anyway. So I've often been on my own in the dark room talking to myself.
Great job for introverts.
They're not great for extroverts like me, but we do what we can.
But you're London based as well, aren't you?
Close to London. I'm only sort of 20 minutes outside. So
Yeah.
and,
Go ahead.
so I do go into studios occasionally. I have worked at Audible Studios a couple of times. I've just been in London working on a special project with Ella Watts. I can't mention the IP that's involved in that. It may be coming out in the next month or two. But
Hi,
that would
Ella.
be
We love
Hey,
you.
Ella.
And then there's I think it's one of those things whereby a lot of it, maybe because I'm quite trusted as an actor now and I have a decent technique. People send me the script and I'll deliver the 3 versions of each scene, and they splice it in and away they go. Then you have the table reads, where we do the table reads and then record later. Then you have the live directed, and I've had a few of my bigger shows have done that. So Unseen, one of my absolute favorites to do. Gabriel Urbino came over to the UK to see his episode of Wooden Overcoats played live, not this weekend just gone, but the previous weekend.
Oh,
And
nice.
he came, he sort of checked with me if I was going to be in London that day. And I said I was, so we made sure I came in. And in fact, we had almost the entire UK contingent of the Unseen crowd there that evening.
Oh,
How fun.
that's so cool.
So that was great. There are photos, I think, on the Wooden Overcoats or the Unseen
I
feed.
think I remember seeing a couple of photos about that.
So I had the live with that one. I did. It's not out yet. Apparently, it's due to come out sometime later this year. Jack Bowman got me involved with the audio movie Unsinkable, which has Tom Jodie Sangster. Oh crikey! Let me remind myself of it.
Harry
It's
Hamlin.
stellar cast.
Yeah.
Cast.
What do you mean by audio movie?
Well, it's that whole scenario of people, lots of TV people and film people suddenly said, "Oh, we can't do anything with the lockdown. Let's create." Okay, here we go. So Brian Cox and John Malkovich and Tom Jodie Sangster, etc., and Hamlin. Yes. So I recorded live with the director and the writer who were out in LA. So I was recording from like midnight till 2 a.m. I think. But it's.
So is audio movie the term we're attributing to, hey, we're all in lockdown. There's a glut of scripts. Nobody's picking up anything for production right now because we can't all be on production set. So let's just do audio. It'll be easy, right?
Yeah, but it's from what I understand, it's very high production value. So it's going to sound pretty good.
What was the one that Apple TV did along the same lines?
That was Voices.
Yeah.
I was actually really pleased to see you show up in Unsinkable because I know the production crew on that a little bit. It's B7 Media, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I know Andrew Marks-All from there, and I've kind of interacted with a couple of their projects before, and that will sound like a chocolate box. They do really high-end, lush production stuff.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that, and it's another one of those things where I will appear with somebody famous, but not having actually worked with them.
So like all those composite photographs that they put together for like Cosmo spreads, where like it's 16 famous people all together, but it's actually each of them individually sending in their
space
components.
In which Beyonce will be photoshopped later.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
But that was cool. So that was nice. And it was all sort of the interesting thing was they released all the press releases on the day I recorded. So this is November 2020, I think. So quite some time ago. And then just stuff happened. But according to Jack Bowman, who is the guy who got me involved, it will come out soon.
There we go.
Yeah.
I still think that counts as a full bacon point at that point. If you've been in a production with somebody, it doesn't matter if you stand next, next to them at the time.
Exactly.
One of the things I love about this is kind of everything we're talking about demonstrates just how narrow the community is for UK audio drama, because Jack produced Circles, which was written by one of my closest friends,
Brendan Connolly.
Who's been on the show a couple of times.
Brendan and I have chatted about other projects.
Good.
Exciting. Excellent.
In fact, I have recorded something for him that will come out eventually, as we often say.
Excuse me, I need to make a note about emailing Brendan. Excellent.
But this is how weird it is, because I know weird's the wrong word. This is how really cool it is, because everyone that you're talking about, I either know or know people who know.
Yeah.
And I understand completely how from the outside that can look like a really insular community, but it's really not.
It's both like an inclusive thing and a kind of like paradigm shifting thing. Like the first time we went to Pod UK and we recognized, oh wait, I know that person. And I know that person. I now know that person. And then we all went to sit in that little pub and have pizza not be delivered for 3 hours.
Well, it was that thing. I looked at Pod UK. I mean, I've been around live events like forever, and I helped run Gen Con in the UK when it was at Olympia.
Okay.
So I've done live events like forever and done various bits. And the one thing I thought, well, it's finishing at like 5:30.
Yeah.
We need to chill out and say thank you to the organisers and stuff. Let's find a pub. And it took a phone call or two, just to organise stuff and then let people know. And then we all and I was surprised and delighted when I actually found the pub was literally next door.
Yeah,
I thought it might be a couple of streets away.
And then it happened twice, and now it is time-honored tradition. It must always occur. There must always be Karim walking in with a stack of pizza boxes. Right?
Also, as someone who survived Gen Con at Loughborough, I thank you for your service in turning that show into something other than the road trip movie I will one day write about my Loughborough experience.
Oh, Loughborough! I loved Loughborough. Loughborough was actually a pretty good venue until they started getting a bit shirty near the end. It was nice and relatively central to get to, relatively cheap. Everything was on site. I like that. But for me, because I was big into my live action at the time, the live action games were less than stellar, shall we say. There was only like one or two and I think it was the last Loughborough that really convinced me to sort of grab the bull by the horns and actually start looking after the live action games for the RPGA and get a lot more into things. So we went from Loughborough, I think, to Manchester.
Yeah.
So I managed to organise a few games at Manchester, and then I got the real big deal when Peter took over WotC. Peter and WotC took over Wizards of the Coast, and then he wanted to make Gen Con go big, and we did the whole thing.
I feel so old, realizing where I was when these events were occurring.
Also,
boy.
In all fairness, my Loughborough horror experience was entirely down to my employer at the time, who assured us up and down and left and right that we would have rooms and it would be great. We rock up and he goes, "All right, mild wrinkle, we don't have any rooms, you're all sleeping on the floor, and I haven't bought you passes, so just look like you should be here. And if any of you do get caught, we'll all get thrown out and I'll blame you. No pressure." 30 seconds of dead silence as these 5 guys all realize they are they are stuck in a room with their boss. Then, a hand on a stack of Bibles, he goes, and this is the exact tone of voice, "It'll be an adventure." I later found out my manager at that point, who was sleeping on the piece of floor next to me, got about an hour's sleep. He woke up, just looked at me, and his first words were, "You bastard." And I was like, well, this is off to a good start. And it turns out that I and the owner of the company had been snoring in harmony. So as I was breathing in, he was breathing out. And Mike is trapped between them like,
I'm in hell, I'm in hell.
So yes, Loughborough was a non-ideal experience for me, but I'm really happy that one of the things that came away from it was you ending up getting involved.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I love the tabletop gaming at Loughborough. It was some of the best I've had ever. I think I used to regularly get into like the invitationals and the finals in Loughborough. And there was one table, I think, for the team funnels. I mean, I can't remember. The table was Shawnee, Kevin Ornay, myself, Matt, and a couple of others. And I think I was laughing for 2.5 hours around the table. So hard, I had a headache. So bad at the end.
You know you've had a good time when that happens.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Kevin Ornay was this fantastic USAF serviceman who used to hang around the tabletop gaming whilst he was based up at Fylingdales. And he was great fun to play with, as were a whole bunch of the guys. It was just brilliant. I love. I mean, yeah.
You look like you have a story.
You had a pet marine as well. Brilliant. we had a guy. I swear he looked like a child's drawing of a superhero. He was like 5'4" in both directions. Stalks into the shop one day, takes his coat off, goes, "Can you just hang on to this for me?" And of course I'm like, "Yeah." Proceeds to spend the next 5 hours going through all the back issue boxes. 4 hours in, goes, "Hi, I'm Casey, by the way. I work up at Fylingdales. How's it going?" "Well, I spent all of Monday picking Greenpeace off the fence, so not great." And we saw him like once every 6 months. One time he came back with absolutely no body hair and came up to the counter. We were like, "Case," and he was like, "Louse situation, don't want to talk about it." It's just, especially if you work in the north, it is just a thing that happens where you get a couple of Americans coming in who, when you ask them where they work, will just go, "Yeah, I got a job." And you move on.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. There is so much overlap between like audio drama, tabletop, game design. Oh, and now it's getting even more interlaced, and I shouldn't be at all surprised, with, authors and other content creators and streamers and everything. And it's where I start to really struggle with it is like when each of these are different professions and they each have different like standards and expectations or rates or how they expect your website to be designed, and you're like, do I have to have 3 websites now? How do you kind of keep on top of all of that? Like, I mean, creativity has always been kind of the portfolio career, right? You know, you do projects and you assemble skills and you kind of, you're selling yourself and what it is you can do. But like from a promotion perspective, from like a brand perspective, how do you think things have changed, especially in the last 2-3 years where self-generated content, where digital content in particular has been, I mean, like the lifeline of the planet, practically.
Are we talking from a personal perspective?
Yeah. I mean, you can talk about industry as well, but I'm talking to you.
Well, I mean, I have some inbuilt advantages in this, I think. In that I have been acting since the age of 4. And I have been quite good at it for a lot of that time. I particularly kicked up a gear in 2008 when I was getting fed up with amateur drama circuit and all kinds of things.
And also the theater scene.
It's has all kinds of fun stuff with it. But I mean, anyone who's heard any of my interviews before will probably hear this story and go, "Oh, it's this one again." But I said it can't be that hard to direct, surely, because I was just getting fed up with people directing me really, really badly. And so a friend of mine suggested I go to City Lit and take the evening classes on how to direct lots of different plays. And I learned so much directing technique, acting technique, all those bits that because I never went to drama school, I didn't know about the things about, you know, I'd heard the name Stanislavski and I'd heard the name of the other techniques, etc. I didn't quite understand what they all were, but I studied and I worked really hard. And I found out the way I wanted to direct was the way it really ought to work in certain, or at least there are certainly sets of the tools that I use or I would want to use that were certainly within the standard canon of some of the great directing teachers, etc. And just learning some key skills, and then through that as well, working with lots and lots of really, really talented people, and bringing my acting skills up and learning about the bits because I need to analyze a script, to take a script from page to stage within one evening, which is what we would do often. Admittedly reading off the page, but you can still sort of analyze a piece of text in 15 minutes, half an hour, and put out something pretty cushy by the end of the evening. Those techniques, which then translate really well into audio.
Yeah,
of course.
And I mean, I suppose I have the perfect combination. I've been a live performer as a fire breather and juggler for like 30 odd years.
I just want to point out really quickly that you have now revealed not one but 2 lights you have successfully hidden under a bushel. The first being that you've been acting since you were 4, and the second being that you do fire eating and juggling. I'm expecting the third to be also fight crime on weekends.
Okay. Okay, so
she's about to note down the words podcast actor variety show.
Yes.
Question mark.
Yes, I am, because you've been to Wootstock with me before.
Yes,
you
I
knew
have.
How that happened, and I'm thinking like, okay, there's the fire breather. We've got
3
stage magicians
who work in
Holy
podcasting,
cow,
and
we've
I'm
got
only
a variety
one of
show.
them.
We've got a variety show. I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm just going to write this down. Fine. You may move on.
No, it's fine. I'm trying to remember where I was talking about now. Yes, so acting, live performance, tabletop role-playing, or role-playing generally, lots of improv. And then I was officially trained and did all that. So, and then I have this voice. I know this voice is quite popular. You back the tone of this voice with somebody who can actually act, who can actually deliver lines through the various techniques of doing audio drama. And I'm a reasonably decent package that lots of audio producers like to call on. I mean, it's very rare that a weekend goes by and I don't get a Facebook message from somebody saying, "Karim, can you?" Which, when I look at the various other voice
that
actors,
has to be the name of your memoir, Karim, can you?
There you go.
That's a beautiful memoir title. I love it.
So it's one of those things whereby, I mean, I worked at a radio station for 10 years. I worked for British Forces Broadcasting, and they said, "We've got to get your voice on the radio." And so those, so I did like adverts and competitions and stuff like this. And so I mean, I've always loved audio since I was tiny. I used to listen to the radio late at night to go to sleep. Late night talk shows, all kinds of stuff, etc. I have, these days I'm always got my headphones in my ears and listening to podcasts of various kinds. My own personally cultivated radio stream, as I call it these days.
So it's almost the opposite, isn't it? It's I can do everything. So how do you choose what it is you're going to focus on? What opportunities you prioritize, and what is it you're always going to say yes to, as opposed to what it is it's okay if you have to say no?
Things I will always say yes to is creators I know and love. When I got the email from Long Story Short Productions about Unseen, my jaw hit the floor, because despite this outward appearance of calm and demeanor, I still have that, really? Me? You want me to work with all these other people?
Imposter syndrome strikes again. It strikes us all at every single level, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know I'm good.
But that's John Malkovich! Right?
Yeah. And it's, Felix Trench and Beth Eyre. I mean, I know I've worked with Beth Eyre and I've directed Beth Eyre. She's gorgeous and brilliant and wonderful. And Tom Crowley and the entire crew of Unseen was just the superstars of the indie audio drama scene. I just love working on, and then working with Gabrielle and Sarah and Zach. It was like, wow. So there's that, and then there was the John Malkovich thing, and way back in the Mists of Ancient Time, whilst Ars Paradoxica was still on, I'm known for doing my accents. I can't remember whether it was a general call or whether who did the sound engineering on Ars Paradoxica? Misha Stanton.
Okay.
I think he put a call out or pinged me directly. Can you do a German accent? Yeah, sure. So I even appear in Ars Paradoxica, one of my favorite shows of all time. Admittedly, it's one line deep in one episode somewhere, but it's like, I've got that one.
Absolutely counts. Absolutely counts.
Oh no, I'm taking notes for when we get to the silly stage of the interview. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
So
people you work with, there's
I want to work with people I admire from the audio drama world. So I was given an opportunity a few weeks ago. Oliver Morris and James Curtis are putting together a drama they've written with some of their favorite voice actors, and they asked us a question of what character would you love to play that you haven't played before, or something like this. Now, I've played just about bleeding everything, and I will give anything a go. So I wasn't particularly. I'm also crap at original creativity. I can interpret and I can finesse and I can polish till the cows come home. But it's like role-playing games. Asking me to create a character, terrible. Give me a character and a piece of paper, I'll fly with it.
See, I call that the editor mindset as opposed to the writer mindset.
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
Give me something to start with and I will make it better, but don't give me a blank page.
Exactly. But anyway, so what I said was, well, I mean, I work in the SCP archives on a number of episodes, and Graham Rowett has worked on the SCP archives on quite a lot of episodes. And they do creator interviews, Pacific Esabadiah, who runs the show. And Graham got interviewed, and I was listening to that, and Graham mentioned me, and then one thing I thought, oh, that was lovely.
Aww.
So I really wanted to work with him. So I asked, and so we've got a scene together, which
nice. That's really nice.
So it's nice, yeah. And as I said, it's people I admire, people who I think are good, and just that. And the actors, well, from my personal perspective, the need to feel when I'm acting and when I'm working with somebody, if I can work with somebody else rather than just being a man in the dark, that's what drives me. You those of you who know my work, you probably know. You appreciate it because I put a lot of feeling into it. It's all channeling out the character through me, rather than me just reciting the script and all this kind of stuff. And that's part of my skill set, and that's how I do what I do and how I do it the way that I do it. So the ability to vibe off somebody else in a scene, or a number of people on a scene, which the reason I loved theatre was to be able to do that live with lots of people. Similarly, that's my drug. You know, I don't smoke, I don't drink very much, but I act. You know.
There's a quote. That's a chapter title of your memoir.
I mean,
right there.
when I was a juggler, it's like, well, I don't smoke. Well, I don't smoke unless I catch myself fire.
Don't smoke intentionally. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, you perform the fire breathing trick in front of 2,000 drunk Austrians, and the cheering and everything else that kicks off.
Wow.
Now
it's a high. It's the performance buzz,
is.
right?
Exactly. It's incredible.
Nothing beats it. I wonder if that's part of why it's become more popular, that audio drama, which, I mean, in the past, and I say this as somebody who's been involved in podcasting for, before
yes.
before Serial. How about that? That
so was I, technically.
You're right. That like live performance has started to become more of like almost an expectation. It's like that's the special treat that you get. It's making it kind of more of a holistic experience. It's because the problem with audio drama from a creator perspective is there's no feedback. You don't get that instant buzz. I did orchestral performance throughout all of high school and college, and so there's nothing like performing a solo in front of a gigantic audience and your hands are sweating and your heart is racing, And so I really love that it's kind of like the prestige presentation of audio drama now, the fact that you would do it live. Yeah. And the expectation and the real acceptance and embracing of the fact that this will be a different performance than like the listening. It's like a studio album versus the concert tour, right? There are different things that people want out of those experiences.
Yeah.
There will absolutely be a 3-minute jazz break somewhere in the middle.
Probably. A drum solo. I mean, if Sarah's involved, it'll probably involve kazoos and all sorts of things, right?
Oh, she is magnificent.
She truly is. If you've never seen...
And you have me to blame.
How so?
I got her into audio drama.
Okay.
Revelation 3.
All right, we need this story. Thank you.
Well, I mean, it's sort of... She appeared in one of the first shows I directed. I did after my directing course. I directed a one-act play. We did an evening of 2 one-act plays, and she was actually in the other one-act play. But we got to get know each other, and we became reasonably firm friends. And as I was starting out, we chatted about various bits and pieces, etc. And I think the two of us then worked together on. I don't know if you're familiar with the Elite Dangerous video game.
Yeah, very much so.
Chris Jarvis.
I got you, Hawkeye.
is an audio producer who produced almost all the enhanced audio books for the Elite Dangerous game.
Oh, nice.
And
I can hear you drooling.
One of them by Alan Stroud got...
Alan's a very good friend of ours.
Yes.
3 people wide. 3 people wide.
Oh my gosh.
It's great.
Yeah. Alan is lovely. And his show, I mean, Alan went with a lot of the Elite Dangerous drama got kickstarted. And so I kickstarted all of it to get the audio versions, etc., etc. And I was just starting out at the time. And Alan at the time was at Wickham College, or Bucks New Uni as it is now, sort of thing. And I live in High Wycombe, and so I dropped him an email saying, if you're doing an audiobook version, I'm breaking into audio drama, I'll happily narrate it for you, etc., etc. You don't ask, you don't get. And so I didn't hear anything for a while, and all the other audiobooks were coming out. And then suddenly, Chris and Alan contacted me saying, if you're interested, get in touch with Chris, and I'd like you to voice one of the cast. And I got to play Dr. Hans Volden, the big bad guy, which was lovely. And Sarah got into
cloak.
Yes,
nice.
And Sarah was a part in that as well. And I drove Sarah up to. Did I drive Sarah, or did she drive me? I think she drove me and nearly killed us.
This big. The world is this big. Sometimes it's truly impressive.
But anyway, so and we've been audio husband and wife.
You are the UK audio dramas like godparents. Abso-freaking-lutely.
I've taken the moniker the Podfather, which sort of works for me.
Oh, you need.
That's the title of the book.
That's the T-shirt for sure. Absolutely. No, the Podfathers are brilliant.
You come to me on this, the day of my new show's release.
But yeah, so I mean, Sarah is spectacularly talented in the sort of lovely, quirky little, you know, all the little quirky roles she takes, and does it brilliantly well.
That's one of my favorite skills of a really good performer, is being able to step into a show to deliver some sort of very bespoke or on spec sort of performance. It's like
four lines in Kilda, and she breaks people's hearts.
I know, things like that is such a skill, and not only because of the technical skill and the performance skill, but because of the emotional maturity that it requires.
Yeah.
Specifically, being able to put your ego just completely to the back and be like, I'm here to contribute to a performance. I'm not going to be the star. I'm not going to be the breakout character. Yeah. I'm going to be luscious scenery, which is a horrible analogy, but I really have I love B-list and C-list actors. Mark Sheppard is one of my favorite performers in the world, because
the nicer way of describing that, Marguerite, is character actor.
There we go, character actors.
He just, those people who can come in, play one character in one episode for 3 seasons, and then you find a bizarre Wikipedia page that's their total red string board. I love that stuff. I love it.
But Sarah's brilliant with that, and she's also a fantastic actress to work opposite. Way back in the Mist of Ancient Time, Russell Leonardson, who you may know, fantastic audio magician, who's a brilliant musician as well. He disappeared off the audio scene some time ago, but now he works for Fool and Scholar as one of their sound designers.
Oh, okay.
Dane is very religious, and he was doing an audio drama called The Fall, about the fall of the angels of the devils out of heaven, etc., etc. Mm-hmm. And I got to play one of the devils, and Sarah was playing one of the angels, and the two characters struck up a bit of a romance sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And it was a lovely bit of work working with her on that kind of thing and getting those lovely vibes together. And we were experimenting at the time early with virtual recording spaces. We were using Source Connect now back then, mm-hmm. which allowed us to really vibe off one another rather than trying to do it quietly, because rather than trying to do it on our own. But it helps so much. And there are some things it's very, very hard to do, splicing lines together. Some of them you have to be working opposite one another.
Yeah.
But we worked together, and sadly, Dane got distracted, and he never finished The Fall. I think it stopped about episode 4 in season 2, and there's a couple of extra scenes we didn't know, which is a shame. There's some of it still out there that you can still hear it, and it's for a first time, it was brilliant. I mean, his talent with music is fantastic, and he sort of claims his sound design work was a bit, he wasn't as proud of it. Well, of course, nobody's proud of their first sound design work, but having listened to all kinds of stuff over the years, it was brilliant for starting.
We should put that one on the list of, the podcast of you listening to older, obscure work and your reaction. By the way, the official full title of your autobiography or your memoir is, hold on, we've got it here in the chat, Karim Kronfli, The Life and Times of the Podfather.
Fantastic. I'll make a note of that.
That's perfect. Well done, chat. Very well done. That actually pivots me nicely onto one of the questions that's been raised in the chat, if you don't mind now, which is kind of an evergreen question, but I don't know if I've ever heard your take on it, which is, if you want to start doing this, what are your suggestions and recommendations for people who want to get started in specifically podcasting and side of voice acting?
Okay. First, are you an actor? It helps to be an actor. You really do have to be able to act. Because, I mean, you can try starting, but trying to voice act when you haven't got the experience of analyzing a script and channeling a character and all that kind of stuff is tough. I mean, it's the thing they always say in voiceover circles is you have to be an actor first, because you've got to be able to do all this ancillary stuff. But assuming you can act, at least to some reasonable level, or even if you're just starting out and you want to practice, etc., there are lots and lots of opportunities out there at all kinds of levels. There's the Audio Drama Hub group on Facebook, which I admin with Sarah and a whole bunch of others. The Audio Drama Hub is, I'm very proud of it. It was started out by Matt McLean and Robert. I forgot Robert's surname now, but when it was the Audio Drama Production Podcast, way back in the ancient time, and I joined when it was in the hundreds of members. We now have over 5,500 members.
And there's a link in the chat for everybody. Thanks,
Wendy.
Thank you. And literally, anybody who's anybody is a member in the audio drama world. So we have got Dirk Maggs. We've got Marielle Runacre-Beck, who runs Audible's audio drama side. We have the guy who created the Star Wars audio dramas. We've got basically, they're all there. So there's people swapping stories, swapping tips and tricks, etc. There's casting calls, you name it. That's a great place to go to just discuss and ask questions, etc., etc. There are other places as well. Twitter is a fantastic place for casting calls.
Yeah, there's tons of aggregator sites now that tweet them out and stuff.
My last few decent gigs have come from Twitter. You know, the Jackie the Ripper came off a Twitter call, which is like, and that was great. So finding the work, or finding the opportunities, shall we say?
Yeah, there we go.
There's lots of opportunities there. Being good enough to make it work. This is two areas. This is your acting skill, and it's also your technical backup. I have been doing this now 12, 14 years. I worked in a radio station, so I knew a bit about audio to start with, but I got one of my audio engineer friends to help me select my kit, etc. when I started out. But I've slowly built my kit as I've gone on. I now have bought myself a proper professional recording booth because I do so much work, and I moved my studio into a new extended part of the house, which unfortunately is road facing, so there's too much noise that penetrates, even though I've put acoustic windows and acoustic blankets and all kinds of other things in here. So I now have a proper booth. But you can start out if you've got a quiet room in your house somewhere or your flat, away from the roads. If it's got soft furnishings,
hoodies on hooks on the wall,
or a coat cupboard or anything like that, a microphone, a laptop, or just a handheld recorder. If you can record in the quiet with no reverb, I could go deeply into the technical side of things. As dead a sound as possible. You can look up all the technicalities or ping me later and I'll chat to you if you need to. If you can record to a reasonable standard and act at the same time, then there's lots of opportunities out that people will ask you for.
I was going to say, you're at that 80% of, I've done what I can do, and then you're at the 20% of, okay, you have to audition, and you have to expect rejection, and you have to know that it's not personal. It's that people like making editorial decisions for writers. Directors are making editorial decisions for shows, and it's literally a keep trying.
Does your voice sound right opposite the other person's voice? Does it sound too similar to somebody who's already in the cast? Does it? There's so many different variables.
Talk about navigating emotion. That's the big emotion to navigate.
Exactly. I mean, I have that inbuilt advantage that I am one of the few men of my age in the audio drama. So there's probably that is the reason I get so much work.
Also, your relentless talent, productivity, and all-around wonderfulness. So you know.
Well, that's another thing to talk about, isn't it? It's not just because you were talking about how the things you want to prioritize are working with people that are good to work with.
Yeah.
Are you a person who you have to make yourself a person who is good to work with?
As is the same
not
in any...
being an asshole is a very low bar, and yet so many people fail to clear it.
As is the same in any professional endeavor, but absolutely. Are you somebody will enjoy working with?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's be honest. The pizza parties at Pod UK, A, was somewhere for us to chill out, and B, What a schmooze opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure I don't know what you mean, says the narrator of St. Kilda, who was cast based on eating pepperoni next to the right person. Thanks for that, by the way.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy.
That's fine. Well, you know, Alexander J. Newell, I didn't realize quite, he's said this on a number of occasions now. They came up on the first Pod UK, and he watched me work the room, and he took notes.
That does not surprise me in this. Like, never underestimate soft skills like being able to network, being able to confidently walk up to a person, introduce yourself, learn a little bit about them, and then leave. That's a hell of a skill to have.
Yeah.
Has he told you his pocket square maneuver?
His pocket square?
Yeah. Alex likes to have quite an elaborate pocket square.
Okay.
And on at least one occasion, I've complimented him about this. He's gone, yeah, it's actually my pocket lining. And just shoved it back in.
But it's iconic, isn't it? Everybody knows Alex Newell because he always wears a suit.
Yeah.
I'm convinced he wears a suit to bed.
Just in case he meets anyone important whilst he's asleep.
Yes, exactly. I'm sure.
Now, that's one of the hardest working people in podcasting. The man
No
is
kidding.
an
Absolutely.
insane machine.
Yes, very much so. But also somebody easy to work with.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, when I first recorded Simon,
hey, Jordan.
I went to Alex's house, drove around London, got to their place, and we had such a lovely time recording. It was so much fun. And I was only up to episode 7 in Magnus myself at the time, and I was recording 151, so there was a fair bit I needed to catch up on.
Yeah.
And Alex sort of took me through it all, etc. And just as we sort of pinned down where we wanted the character to go, it was just nice. And then we just ran with it. And well, people here probably know the results of that. And then the London Podcast Festival turned up, and the Rusty Quillers were there, and my God, there was a lot of them, and it's like, oh,
that
I got
was
recognized.
such a delightful experience, wasn't it? Talk about that whole live performance energy. That was just so really, really sweet.
Yes. Oh, thank you, Wendels.
People here have totally cosplayed you. It's for sure.
And that's another thing. This is something that blows my mind with the audio drama scene and etc. Is the fan art.
Oh,
the
I
fan
know.
creativity.
Right.
And it's just beautiful and wonderful and
overwhelming. I mean, you want to talk about You want to talk about imposter syndrome. Zalia rocking up at Pod UK with like 4 other people going, "Hi, we can." And I'm going to embarrass a couple people here because Zalia was very sweet and came to me and said, "Hi, we have a gift for Alasdair and we don't want to like make it awkward or anything. Is it okay if we give him the gift?" And I'm like, "Yes, of course, fine." And then all these people show up with all this incredible like hand-drawn art and books. The other thing Zalia did, which I will be eternally grateful for, is this project involved the creation of some not safe for work content, which was put on its own little thumb drive in its own little self-sanitized bottle, handed over separately, which he has never looked at it. I have. I appreciate that level of attention to detail. But just, you're right, how enthusiastic, engaged, and yet conscientious and respectful of a fan community. You don't see this in Hollywood. You see people who jump fences and throw things, right?
When your characters make their way onto AO3, that's an interesting day. I think I first got introduced to AO3 when somebody said Walter Mix had turned up there. Walter Mix, my character,
we had
out of
a
What's the
fascinating
Frequency?
experience of having to explain to a Hollywood actor who was a friend of ours what AO3 was. And why he should not go and look at it.
We got to see him search for his character
in
real time.
He searched for his characters while we were hanging out with him. And it was quite the experience.
And he went from oh to oh.
Oh.
Oh dear. That was yeah. I know. But you're right. Just it's a community that I think really is like trying to give that interactive energy without like betraying the fact that it is like at a remove through the way of the performance.
Yeah. It is. I'll be honest. I think the last 2 years has been shit for a lot of us.
Yeah.
It has.
in all kinds of ways. Before they got shut down, one of the things that kept me going was dipping into the Rusty Quill Discord forums and chatting to people and just seeing how much they like the show and how much they like Simon and you and just seeing the appreciation of the work. And it really helped me at some really, really dark times.
Yeah.
So thank you to everyone who listened to or read my ramblings on there, those of you who were there, and listened to my shows, because it meant a lot at a very dark time for me. And it, I mean, without the fans, I wouldn't have a career per se necessarily, because you guys give me the profile that producers see, as well as hearing my work. But there's that's that whole social media bubble thing, and that the whole people who appreciate me say it, and then other people see it. It's that wonderful thing.
It works. So, it has that compound
exactly.
reaction.
And it's been. It's one of those most wonderful parts of my career has been working for Rusty Quill. I am now a staff performer for Rusty Quill. I am appearing in a new show. That's one of my things I'm recording soon.
Nice. Congratulations.
And of course I've been on Enthusiasm a couple of times as well.
Yeah.
As we know, Marguerite, our Star Trek episode was brilliant.
Oh my God,
yes,
you two!
We're gonna have to do that again after Strange New Worlds comes out. Right?
Oh yeah,
for sure.
I'm finally catching up with Picard. I think I've got 1 or 2 episodes to catch up with now, so nearly there. And yes, we will be having the Evil Old Man's Brunch Club. Whether it's the next time we're in London or something, or whether I come to Reading or whatever, I don't know. Yep. You guys live in Reading, don't you?
We'll take a road trip down to Ben's place.
Evil Old Man Taco Appreciation.
Exactly.
Ben, leave the child. We have food to eat and things to discuss.
Quick, compose. Yes, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, this is the thing. It's like you say, the whole, you don't get the immediacy of response in audio drama as you do
it's a delay.
In theatre. It's a longer, slower burn. Because at least if you're good, people notice and they say it.
Yeah.
And that's little bits of serotonin hitting you every now and then. And that's lovely.
Yeah, it's kind of like the author approach of the idea of the long tail of that.
Yeah.
If you build a portfolio of work, then people will come to older work of yours at any time and discover you and what you produce, and then find, this verdant forest of additional work that they can go explore.
Exactly.
Which is wonderful.
And
so,
go ahead.
Sorry, carry on.
No, after you. We will do this all night after you. No, I was just going to make the point that, well, kind of 2 things. Firstly, I think it's really important. Firstly, to talk about how much of a struggle the last couple of years have been, and thank you for doing that. I really appreciate it. And secondly, to just kind of focus on the very hard-won lessons we're all taking away from this. Of you find your catharsis, you find your serotonin where it is, not necessarily where you expect it to be.
No.
And I find it really interesting that you are as prolific as you are, because that feels very familiar. And just the idea of work almost as therapy, as you do this so that you're doing something, and if you're doing something, you're pushing forwards, has a lot of resonance for me. And seeing you be as prolific as you are and be as versatile as you are, I got to be honest, is very inspiring.
Thank you. I think it's one of those things whereby I use this line quite often. I do IT and data security as my day job. That feeds my belly. My acting and performance feeds my soul.
Yeah,
I like that.
And that's a key part for me. I've been doing IT for decades. I'm very good at it, but it's quite dull at the end of the day.
I hear you.
This is what I enjoy it. Well, if I could have ever been a full-time professional actor, I would have loved to, but I couldn't pay the mortgage, unless I'm very, very lucky. But then I have a weight problem, like some people do, and me being a stage or a screen actor has that challenge when you're my kind of shape. However, when I'm a voice, I can and have been anybody. And there I had, once again, it's the benefit of my combination of techniques and skills and experience that lends itself to me being the voice actor that I am.
That's a whole nother conversation you can have about audio drama, is about what it does to accessibility.
Yeah.
And how there are, I mean, it is not the great equalizer, because there are people who will always struggle with things like not even just technology, but access to spare time or to space. But compared to Hollywood performance, for example, you're absolutely right. There are body shapes that don't get represented, or there are people with physical disabilities who don't get represented, or even who get represented but not by themselves. I mean, representation in art is like a whole other conversation.
If I may for a moment. Fuck Baron Harkonnen. Let's move on.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I have yet to see the new Dune.
Don't hurry.
It's very pretty. And
no, it's not. It is in 3 shades of beige.
Yeah, okay.
That's the problem.
Allow me to rephrase. Jason Momoa is very pretty, and is clearly having all the fun. He's having fun for basically the entire movie, and then when he leaves, the movie becomes less fun.
I think that one day they ought to have Jason Momoa off against The Rock. I think the two of them will have fun till the end of the earth.
They're related, aren't they?
Are they? Probably.
They probably are. No, that's Roman Reigns. I keep getting
Roman
that
Reigns
wrong.
and The Rock are cousins. Yeah, Jason Momoa is the emergency reserve Samoan Thor.
But either way, as I said, it's one of those things whereby I love the fact that I can literally play anyone. I mean, my standard classic line is Starship Captain, Celestial Beings, and Bad Guys.
I mean, as to-do lists go, that can't be beat, can it?
Right.
You know?
But here's my question for you, because we're talking about technique a little bit, and some of the questions have been about getting started. How long did it take you to be able to say, this is what my specialty is? This is who I am best at. To be able to synthesize that. Because and I have a point of data for this. It took us 4 years of trying to figure out how to say what Alasdair does in a sentence. And it took a really long time to boil it down and, get evocative about it and like cover everything we want to cover. How long did it take you to come up with that phrase?
That was in the first year.
Oh, fuck you. You're just that good then. Fine.
No. Well, no, it's because I played 3 Starship Captains, 2 Celestial Beings, and about 4 Bad Guys.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
Exactly. But then, I mean, my early forays into audio drama were fascinating. I was, tipping around here and there and sort of finding my way around the things. And I got into The Fall, as I mentioned earlier. And I think whether it's through that or something similar, Fool and Scholar, Caitlin and... I've forgotten his name. My brain is terrible. Anyway, Fool and Scholar contacted me when they were in their early days doing Liberty. And their Liberty podcast feed at the time was the part sci-fi punk Borderlands kind of audio drama and part the horror version of Tales from the Tower. And they were kicking off season 2 of Tales from the Tower with I didn't know at the time, a 2-parter, and I got an email or a message. Travis Vengroff. Travis saying, we've been let down by our lead actor. Do you mind recording this for us? I said, yeah, sure. No. Can you do it in 2 weeks? Yeah, sure, no problem. Okay. Script turned up.
Oh, God.
This is 2 hours. And my voice is 95% of this.
Oh, boy.
And you want me to record this in 2 weeks? with a day job and everything else. So that, you think that's 6 to 7 hours of recording in and around everything else. But it was a great role. It was the sort of sci-fi version of a Gumshoe, going in discovering this sort of horror scenario that was kicking off. It was a lovely role, and I was coming home at lunchtimes, sneaking a heart. Luckily, I work like 10 minutes away, so I recording half an hour at lunchtimes, recording for a couple of hours at night after my wife and my son had gone to bed. I was dashing through it all, and eventually I managed to get out the door, which was great. I then had to do, similarly in 2 weeks, The Diary of a Madman Season 2. Now, if you're into not safe for work content, that's a real bad guy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Tyler the bad guy is not a very nice guy at all. But that was 17 episodes of my voice alone.
Doing bad things.
Doing bad things. My voice just about, my throat almost completely broke doing that.
Oh, no.
I got an infection, and I had to push through and get the stuff done. I was gargling mouthwash near the end just to get me through it, and then I think I had to rest for a week afterwards. Yeah.
Oh my God, dude.
Early lessons in how to not stress your voice too much, because I was doing my sort of American Gumshoe accent for the first one, and then Tyler's a bit sort of a London bloke. He talks a bit like this, but you do that for the amount of time of 17 episodes kick out in 2 weeks. I have since learned better technique on how to not stress my voice quite so much, shall we say. But I got through it, and then it took Paul Sating, who produced that show, a further 18 months to release it. It's like, really?
Oh, that's so... I know. It's like, I killed myself for 2 weeks, and now I wait for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, what I then got, by luck, judgment, or whatever, is 2 or 3, when you count the fall as well, pretty good bits of work that I could hang my hat on.
Yeah.
And people got to know me through those. And Travis's show was quite popular at the time, and lots of people listened to that. And Paul's thing sort of happened and sort of disappeared and whatever, but it was talked about at the time. And so it's that situation. Luck is the combination of skill and opportunity. You work hard to make sure you're available to take advantage of opportunities when they come, and that Venn diagram combination will give you the possibility for future opportunities as well. So I was able to, I delivered those in the times they asked me to. And to a high standard. So we're hitting those notes of, is he good to work with?
Yeah.
Can he deliver? Can he do a decent product, etc.? And then I had 2 big pieces of work that people I could point to and say, that's me.
Yeah. And it's such a kind of a difference in mindset, because this is very common in writing as well, especially in short fiction, is, you're doing lots of work, you're creating samples, or you're practicing, and you're learning your skills, and you're auditioning, and you're trying and you're trying and you're trying, and so you get very used to emotionally preparing yourself for failure.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to do this thing and I'm not going to get it. I'm going to do this thing and I'm not going to get it. And then all of a sudden you'll get 1 or 2 things, and then all of a sudden it's about the opposite. It's about being more selective maybe in what it is you do want to audition for, but being prepared for success. Can I throw my life under the bus for 2 weeks if that one opportunity comes through, and how you navigate that? And that transition that's probably the roughest part, I think, of any creative person's career, is going from, okay, I live in imposter syndrome, to I gotta shut up and deliver. It's a very different kind of mindset to be in.
We'll put a link to Diary of a Madman in the chat. It's available on Podchaser.
Cool.
I think one of the things that came out was there's that putting that filter of what you will work for, but you got to be careful that you don't completely block yourself off. There are bad shows all the time, and you will always work on bad shows no matter how good you are. Any of the Hollywood stars, unless they can afford to not work for years and years, will do films and TV shows that aren't as great as others, etc. I'm not comparing myself to them, but especially in the indie audio space where literally people are learning on the job, etc., the skills will be developed as time goes on. I've appeared in some less than stellar shows, and I've appeared in some fantastic shows. But if you don't try them,
Yeah,
that's exactly it.
How do you know? It's like I said, this cold casting call for Jackie the Ripper. I didn't know what it was. They just said, "Somebody, could you do this kind of voice?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I could probably do that." And then I found out who it was who did it, and I did the work, and they liked it, etc. So it's like, it's a great gig, and I'm season 2. I'm there, and I think there may be a season 3. I don't know.
Exactly.
And there may be more and more. And these guys, I mean, the offensive's been going on for years, so maybe Jackie the Ripper's going to go on for a long time. And it's paid work. This is always an advantage as well. Yeah. So I suppose that I have the advantage nowadays that I can be pickier for the things that are paid. I will sort of tend to look less at stuff that is unpaid, unless it's for, once again, creators that I like and admire.
And that's always okay. You get to make your own decisions about whether you want to work for pay or not, and that, again, speaking of whole other conversations.
Oh yes, Jesus, yeah. I mean, and it's been incredibly heartening from my perspective to see that transition hit across the last couple of years, where increasingly pay has become, if not the default, then substantially more likely than it was 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what was it when I started out? We all knew all the audio dramas and we're listening to all of them all the time.
Yeah,
keeping up. Now there's 7,500 of the buggers, pardon my language.
It's just, yeah, exactly.
Although that includes actual play, so
and more so, I think it's kind of a transition in creator mindset. It's this idea that we're okay with us all making something that isn't going to churn a lot of profit, but we're not okay with all of that profit only going to one person.
Yeah.
Or only staying in one place. So it's a whole, if there's going to be peanuts, we're all going to have peanuts.
The old gag about how Patreon is just everyone passing the same $10 around.
Yeah.
That's fine, but everyone gets to pass the $10,
Yeah. Exactly.
I think Matthew McLean came up with that line the first time.
That's a very good one.
It is a good line, and it's
I've stood up
disturbingly
on
accurate.
that more than once.
Robert Cudmore, remembered his surname now. There you go. My brain works in the background occasionally. I'll say I can't quite remember that. And it'll background, it'll go.
Processing.
Yeah.
I want to be conscious of time because we've gone almost an hour and a half, almost without a break, and I still have a couple of questions. Are you okay to keep going?
I'm cool. I'm cool. I'm enjoying this immensely. So as long as you guys are cool with it, I'm happy doing.
Right. So one of the questions we had was almost a little bit about writing, which is, I'd like to know more about kind of like what is the writing side of this particular scene. And I'm really curious to hear your view on that as someone who is primarily a performer or even a director. So content creation is such a crappy term. I don't like it. But you are more about taking polished raw material and then making it truly sparkle. What is your take on kind of the writing side of things? Is it a small community? It's growing, I would think, for sure.
There are an awful lot of writers out there. There are an awful lot of people who want to write. There are a lot of people who have stories they need to get out. Much like acting, there are different levels of skill, different levels of commitment, different levels of ability to do the work. Because it's work at the end of the day. Writing is some of the hardest work I've ever known. I can write, but it takes me 5 times as long as anyone else. And so I don't enjoy it. Without them, I'd have nothing to say. So I'm always immeasurably thankful to the people who write words for me to talk. As an appreciator and a member of the arts community, the act of original creativity is always, to me, a magnificent flower. People throw these seeds onto the fields and hope that they'll grow into something that they can be proud of, or that they can do more with, and that other people will then see and say, yes, we like it, like, let's have some more, please, and here you can have some money. Much with acting and with writing, understanding that the ability to write and write a lot is practice and more writing and more writing and more writing. Because I listened to the Sitcom Geeks podcast, which is a fascinating and brilliant podcast about sitcoms and writers of sitcoms and all this kind of stuff. And I learned a lot about writing by listening to it. But the thing is, if lots of people write a pilot for a sitcom and they spend all their life trying to do this one thing, if I get picked up, it'll be brilliant. But it won't, because they've then got to write 5 more episodes. So you're never going to write one show that's brilliant. You have to write one show, then another show, then another show, then another show, and build your skills over time, so that you can write anything. And you can, the really good writer can write to a style of another author, for example, or different styles and different this. They'll have their own voice, but they can write in and around other things.
Which is a different complementary skill.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. But it's all part of the writer's toolkit. You can write a show, and there's nothing wrong with writing a show and put it out there and it's brilliant, and thank you, and it's all done. But a writer will write show after show after show, because writers need to write much as I need to act.
Yeah, writers can't not.
Exactly. As like I can't not act. And I appreciate that. And it's one of those things. And I love bringing their work to life. And I appreciate the writing. And when I read a beautiful bit of writing, I can feel the quality as I'm working through it into the microphone, etc. And I'm putting my effort into that 1 square inch of space in front of me in my microphone. That's I'm putting all the emotion and stuff in there that's flowing off the page. My body, my mind, and my soul all appreciate that work, and I know how many hours, how many late nights, how many tears and bruises and hair ripped out I've gone into
parties
crafting.
And early mornings and
I've gone into crafting what's in front of me. So it's up to me to deliver a performance worthy of the words in front of me, to elevate it that extra level. When you're talking about audio drama, it's not just the writing, it's not just the acting. You've got the sound effects, the Foley, the sound design.
It's like the whole birthday cake.
The music.
There is the word, there is the production, there is the performance, the music. There's so many different elements of it. And it's not fair to say that it's simplified TV or television. You just take away that's not what it is. Just being able to convincingly talk about, this is an Alexander J. Newell quote, to go back to him, is you have to talk about why this is a story where audio is where it's presented. You can't just take away the images and assume that 2 people talking around a microphone is going to carry the same thing. And it's not just the conceit of there is an archive, so we talk into tape recordings. You have to, truly good audio drama plays to the strength of the medium in a way that brings it to life and showcases what is unique and special about it.
One of the most profoundly depressing professional experiences I've ever had was a few years ago when someone who actually does very good work putting together voluntarily putting together lists of award eligible stuff, just flat out refused to accept that the audio editors for Escape Artists needed to be put on this list. And they were absolutely unequivocal. They were like, no, you have one editor, that's the person who buys the story and suggests edits. And we went round and round on this for about a week before we finally went, yeah, okay, do what you got to do. Because the gap of understanding there is, in some places, still so vast, where people look at a polished, even an especially polished piece of audio drama, any piece of audio drama and go, well, obviously that was just a writer and a microphone and an actor, and it's not.
It is so
It's a
not.
network of
Well,
people.
as soon as you realise the maths that per minute of finished audio drama, it's an hour of sound designer's work.
Yep.
Then you realise where the actual balance of effort goes.
And
So-
before that, the basis of, just straight prose narration. We
Yeah.
always tell people expect to spend 3 times as much time, times as much editing as you did recording. And that's just what in audio drama terms would be dialogue edit. And
Yeah.
you're not talking about, we're talking about prose narration. So we're talking about just removing mouth sounds or flubs. We're not talking about breath sounds, accents, movements, bodily turns, trying to splice dialogue together between different characters in different spaces. We're talking one voice, one straight line delivery, times 3. And then you think about, okay, this is a 40-minute audio drama episode. That sound designer spent 40 hours at least, and that's without dialogue edit, table read, polish, everything else on top.
One of my favourite bits of work was one of the 11th Hour shows. I think it was the first one I directed. Richard Brooks wrote Ivory Towers. Chris Jarvis did the sound design again for that. We all went to Chris's studio and recorded it. I had Beth there, myself, Sarah, and a bunch of other guys who were brilliant. But Richard is a very effusive writer. And the thing about the 11th Hour project is it all has to be done in the month of October. And Richard gave us this hour and 15-minute script. Chris looked at it and went,
No.
I'll never get it done.
Yeah, seriously.
So Chris and Richard carved into it heavily and got it down, I think, to about 55 minutes in the end. And Chris, not that he got paid, because the 11th Hour is a cross-collaboration thing, so you get to meet lots of new creators and work with them, etc., etc. But he did such a brilliant job. It's one of the most fantastic shows I've ever done. A, I played sort of the bad guy, and B, I also directed it, which meant I got the absolute joy of working with Beth Eyre and John and Chris and everyone. And we did a table read beforehand, and we went into the studio. It was a day out for everyone. I provided food, drinks, and everything.
Pizzas.
It was. If you lot haven't listened to the 11th Hour project, we do it every year. I think it's been going 6 years now, 7 years. Groups from around the world collaborate with other groups. The whole idea is to get to know them, meet them, and you'll find all kinds of different horror stories. So that's the whole point, because it's all ready in October for World Audio Drama Day, and they are the cream of voice acting, and newbies and oldies, etc., produce these shows, and it's all done in the month of October every year, and it's fab. And yeah, Ivory Towers I absolutely adored. It's one of my. I have that occasional guilty pleasure of listening to my own work every now and then, just because why not? And so that's just such a great show. But yeah. What was I talking about?
It's okay.
But yeah, so you get Chris and Richard cut it down, and then Chris, by gum, he managed to get it out on the day. So
Jeez.
he's supremely good.
Fantastic.
But yeah, the amount of work is just extraordinary.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got one more question for us.
Okay.
And it's not so much a question as I think now has come the time for accents.
Oh, really?
Yes. There have been several requests throughout the evening that I've kept a list of.
Okay.
And I think this is going to turn into Karim will go first, and then you will go.
Very well.
And then
okay.
we will just turn this into dueling accents. And the first request, and I'm sure the chat will start providing us with more suggestions as we go along, but the first request is Werner Herzog.
Well, my friend, this is the way you must have the baby. I do not think it is. Well, we can give you the metal, but Mr. Mandalorian, it is fine.
This is gonna turn into.
Okay.
You're smiling too
Okay.
much. I can tell.
Okay. Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on.
Sad beige toys for sad.
toys for sad beige children.
Yes.
Okay. Hello, customer support. I need to care if you live or die, let alone whether your case is successfully completed. Interesting. I am lying. You have rendered me closer to death with your query. I would wish you good day, but I am not going to. Happy New Year, losers. I love Werner.
I love. If you're not familiar, okay, one, I spend way too much time on TikTok. Two, there is a delightful TikTok content creator whose entire shtick is Werner Herzog reviews like homeopathic children's toys, and it's called Sad Beige Toys for Sad Beige Children, and it is absolutely, positively delightful. Her accent's wonderful.
One of the absolute best things about it is she will just lose it, and like every third TikTok, she'll just collapse in giggles. It's so good.
I love it. All right, next one is Peter and Simon ordering brunch.
Ooh, okay.
Here you go.
1 second.
I don't think you have to, you guys can talk over each other. That's fine.
Right. Peter,
Yes, hello.
what would you like, darling?
Oh, to be left alone in the ocean. But apparently that's not going to happen, so I'll just have the kippers.
Kippers.
Yes.
Good idea. Let's see. What shall I have? Rather a lot of choice on this menu.
Had you considered the scones? Matthias does like his scones.
Scones, yes. Or is it scones? I suppose.
Matthias insists on scones, so it's scones. Matthias. Sorry. Too many shows.
Too many shows.
But it's fine. It's fine. I think we can have the scones, the cream, the jam, the crumpets, the butter, and possibly a small eggs Benedict on the side. Yes?
Oh, what a fantastic choice. However, jam then cream, or cream then jam?
Jam then cream, naturally. Have you tried doing it the other way around? It all slips all over the place.
I don't have many friends, Simon, but I'm dreadfully glad you're one of them.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, I know. Aren't they delightful? Do we have any other suggestions for fun accents? I mean, you've been sharing them pretty much as you've gone on throughout the evening, which has been delightful. Do you have a favorite? Like the one that you hope everybody asks you will do?
What, favourite accent?
Yeah.
Oh, crikey. I honestly, I do lots. I mean, I suppose one of my favourite characters I've played is Clarence Twinner from Kalila Stormfire. He's a gay changeling, and I loved him. He was just ever so slightly camp, and but he was such a warm and lovely character. And the scripts that I was given to record, where his door got painted by some horrid, hateful people. Lots of half-caste sort of stuff, etc. And it was a really nice character to play. And of course, completely against my type. You know, definitely not a starship captain, celestial being, or bad guy. But we had a great episode where I got to work with Sarah Rare Warner, where she was playing my dog. And now I've done this a few times. I get my character's art made by Scrapnik on Twitter. So I got this little art of Clarence and his dog.
Heart.
That is adorable. Look at the doggy's tail. I absolutely love that.
When I love a character, and this is actually, it's got writing on it. Difference is no barrier to friendship. Clarence and Nala.
Aww.
And so I got that art done. I got some art done of Walter Mix and his sidekick, I can't remember off the top of my head, played by the simply brilliant Tanya Milojevic. She is an absolute audio goddess. She, and if you want accents, you need to interview Tanya. Now, Tanya is blind, so she tends to do screen work in the dark. So whether it work on the Twitch stream or not, I don't know. But,
Okay.
but she is brilliant. It's utterly brilliant actress, and magnificent accents, and stalwart of the community as well. So yeah, I'm a big fan, as you probably noticed.
I have to confess, my favorite accent is one I have not yet had to use.
Oh, right.
I've tried. I auditioned for a show which I got, and I gave them 3 options. I gave them Tom Hiddleston, hello, and I gave them pretty much this. And I lived in Yorkshire for 18 years. So the first 2 were kind of very well behaved on Radio 4. And the third was, hiya, how you doing? Dead good at archery. You got any buns? Sorry, love. And I just, I have a very, very simple dream. And it is at some point I want to see a Starfleet captain with that accent.
Didn't Jason
Isaacs did not have that accent.
Didn't he? Oh no.
No.
I haven't got that far in Disco. I need to try and dig through Disco, because the first 2 episodes really disappointed me. So.
Although uncannily, I actually watched his scene in Death of Stalin earlier today.
I was about to say, I was watching that
exact accent.
Exactly.
I'm smiling, but I'm fucking furious. I love that.
It's brilliant. Okay, 2 favourite accents. My Yorkshire accent in Ivory Towers, playing the Yorkshire Don. I really like that, because I did that pretty solidly, that one. And then playing Nicholas Carrick in Unseen. Mostly I'm doing my normal voice, but because he's in New York, he slips into the guy who's got the little shop on New York just around from Fifth Avenue, and it worked pretty well in the show, I thought.
So I says to Murray, I says, yeah.
Exactly.
So I have actually been asked to not attempt American accents. Ever.
I think we are all collectively enjoying the heck out of Johnny Sims attempting American news-related accents right now.
This week on the show.
I know.
Yeah, but I did like those, and once again, it's one of those things whereby as a voice actor, I mean, I've done an accent course to sort of try and finesse some of the tooling and preparation for some accents, especially the difficult ones. I haven't got Dutch. I'm finding it really hard to get Dutch right. Maybe I'll try some more practice then, but I worked quite hard on the New York one, and I did it. I did it off cold, and then Zach Valenti, who's a New Yorker, was impressed, and I thought I'll cope.
Oh, nice.
Yep, exactly.
That's a stamp of approval.
Just take it and run with it. Is there anyone you've ever wanted to work with that, like, who's on the bucket list? Like, who do you really want to work with that you haven't?
What, in the indie or drama space, or generally?
Sure, why not?
Dirk Maggs. There you go. Absolutely, I have to work with Dirk Maggs one day. I wish and pray I can work with him before he disappears.
For a slight piece of context for the chat, Dirk Maggs is the reason why a lot of people who love audio drama in the UK love audio drama in the UK. Dirk was the producer whose number the BBC remembered. I have a very clear memory throughout childhood of hearing his Judge Dredd show, which was broadcast for 15 minutes at a time on Radio 1, and you had to tape it on an actual tape with reels. And he did an adaptation of a classic Batman story. And he also did the single greatest piece of audio drama produced in this country in the 20th century, ID4 UK, which was a sidequel to Independence Day. You know those 2 tornado pilots in Independence Day who have 2 lines? It appears the Americans have a plan. About bloody time. It's their origin.
Oh, excellent.
They are the survivors of a raid on the ship over London, and because this was the early 1990s and the BBC was just like, sure, why not? They have late astronomer Sir Patrick Moore in the back of one of the tornadoes when they escape, which leads to a moment where Patrick Moore has the Will Smith Welcome to Earth fist fight with an alien. And at this point, he was an 84-year-old man with a monocle. Dirk Maggs is a rocket scientist.
Excellent. I'm just going to have to say this to Eldritch Possum. Look, you may have suffered through Nicola Bryant playing as Perry Brown, but as a man, I did not suffer with Nicola Bryant playing Perry Brown whatsoever. I thought I'd bring the...
You keep Perry, I'm taking Ace and leaving. Thank you.
That's fine. That's cool.
Fine.
We'll work on it.
We did ourselves terribly.
But for those of you who similarly are uninitiated, the man who got audio drama on the billboards in Times Square, Sandman, is Dirk Maggs.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Wendy, I will arm wrestle you. There will be explosions.
I will applaud.
And hold my coat.
Yes.
This has been absolutely delightful.
This has been a delight,
Thank you
sir.
so much for coming and gabbing around with us. We really appreciate it.
I could carry on for hours, but I suspect we're getting late.
I know we could, and I desperately miss Pod UK. I really think that convention was like one of the beating heart centers of UK audio drama, and I hope in the future someday something steps into that void.
Well, hopefully we'll have the London Podcast Festival back in the autumn again, and which is the good close second. And
I'd feel happier about it if the corporate sponsors of it were actually contributing towards the creators who were volunteering, as opposed to Speaking of that whole having that money conversation,
well, we'll work on that. But at least it's somewhere for us to get together and do some stuff.
That's a good point.
For those of you who can, book a ticket to come see Wooden Overcoats this Sunday. It's the last live show. The last show comes out tomorrow. Yeah. The final ever Wooden Overcoats, possibly the finest audio comedy ever written and produced. Give these people some money. If you can't turn up to London to the live show, book the. They're streaming it from King's Place as well. You don't even have to be there live, but you can watch it over the next couple of weeks.
Oh, nice!
Wooden Overcoats is brilliant. If you haven't heard of it, where have you been? But I'm there. I've been there the last 2 weeks. I'll be there again this Sunday. Give them a send off. Possibly some of the finest work in audio over the last however long. David K. Barnes is a consummately brilliant writer. He writes and corrals the other writers with an aplomb and finesse that is brilliant.
And they're just really welcoming and encouraging people as well.
Yeah, exactly. And then you got Tom Crowley, Felix Trench, Beth Eyre, Cara Baxendale, and a slew of stars. And if you heard last week's episode, if you want big co-stars, you don't get much bigger than George Takei.
What? I'm so far behind. This is...
Oh, hell yes.
Okay. Not a co-star, but he appears. Let's put it that way.
That's brilliant.
We thought Fool and Scholar were big for getting the tall guy. Jeff Goldblum. Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
To play his character, who obviously being Jeff Goldblum has to have plus 100 charisma.
I love, by the way, that we have dated ourselves so perfectly by you going the tall guy and me going Goldblum.
But yeah, so seriously, give these guys a send off. They deserve it. They have had me in stitches with utter laughter and tears and joy for years and years, and I have a lot to thank them for my career as well, because back in 2016 they had a garden party when Lauren Shippen came over to the UK. Lauren Shippen of the Bright Sessions, so I got to meet the entire Wooden Overcoats crew and Lauren Shippen at that garden party. Another bit of me schmoozing like crazy, but it was great fun and it was lovely, and it's their last show. You know, what can you say? 4 seasons. This season, of course, scuppered by the pandemic, but it's out. It's going to be done. They're brilliant. So support them if you can.
Yeah.
And if you haven't listened to the show, start from the beginning and work your way through because it's utterly brilliant.
About 10 minutes in, you will go, what? And then it will be 6 episodes later. It's one of those.
Yeah.
Nice. Very, very marathonable.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So we've been sharing with the chat where everybody can find you, of course. Is there any final thoughts or any last minute things you want to shill to leave us on?
I've told you all the things I'm in at the moment, I think.
There's so many. I'm sure 3 more, hey, Karim, can you, have come in while we've been on this conversation, right?
Let's check my Facebook feed. Nothing that I can see. No. Oh, no messengers. Just some pings.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Give a Scottish podcast a bit of love. Yes, it's very not safe for work, not safe for work language, but Robert Cudmore, know his surname now, and Matthew McLean have been doing that for near on a decade now, and I appear as the eponymous Bruce, not eponymous, the magnificent Bruce Mercer, gangster extraordinaire, and yes, the output isn't quite as prolific as it has been because Matthew now has a child and is doing that whole parental thing, which is one of the reasons I went into audio drama quite heavily, is because now I have a son. Running off to rehearsals 2 or 3 nights a week is not really conducive to being a parent. Whereas audio drama, I can do lots.
You just can't sleep anymore. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. But that's the thing. If you like earthy Scottish humour,
is it earthy? Oh, that show, love it.
And you get absolutely top-notch Sarah Golding.
Yes,
Drunk Helen. Drunk Helen is possibly one of the finest comic creations in audio. She is utterly brilliant.
Drunk Helen versus Wee Mary.
Oh, it has to happen. It has to happen.
Drunk Helen versus Wee Mary.
Oh yeah. So
I breathe it into being.
Or they travel around Scotland solving crime or causing crime, and then going, "He did it." Yeah,
both.
There you go.
Both. Great. So, we just created a new podcast.
There you go.
Big surprise.
There you go. I mean, these are all guys I have lots to owe for my career and just friendship and love, and I adore them all. So give them the support. Try it out. What have you lost? If you don't like it, you don't like it, but you've tried it. Exactly. But you'll probably fall in love and you'll adore every episode. So
that sounds great.
What can I say?
Old ladies drunk, solving crime or causing crime. Yes. Right? That's the answer to that question. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us, Karim. Everybody,
this has been a delight.
We are going to say a quick goodnight to Karim and then come back. I don't know if we actually need brain sorbet after all of that serotonin, but you probably need 10 minutes to go update your podcatchers and to get a stretch.
And start the downloads. So.
Exactly. So we will be right back, everybody. Have a stretch and a drink of water, and where's my button? There we go. I will be right back. Good night.
Bye.
evil old man? Then who's your first favorite evil old man?
Well, obviously it's Matthias.
You mean Elias?
Matthias. Let's call the whole thing off.
Whoever ends in us and is played by Ben.
It's Ben. It's an evil old man.
It's
you
Ben.
know,
It's Ben. Oh, he's so delightful. What a wonderful conversation.
Oh my God, that was a delight.
That was really, really nice. And Karim is so talented, and he's been in so many things. And I hope one of the things that you took away from that conversation is one of the things I took away from that conversation, which is even when you have 200 credits to your name, you still have imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And it's still about, what do you mean, me? You want me to do that thing? I'm not anybody. I'm nobody.
I'm just a guy.
Just a guy. I'm just
a little guy. I'm
and
a
it's
birthday
my
boy.
birthday. It's
my birthday.
Okay, stop. We cannot meme all night long. Well, actually, we probably could.
Don't challenge me. Don't.
We would have to feed an entire hopper's worth of memes, and you would just be memeing. Okay, that is an idea to write down for the next 24-hour charity stream marathon, which is just, we load up a slideshow of 1 million memes, and you just gotta meme all the way down.
I would turn into the man reading the 24-hour news who has not slept for 24 hours.
Yes.
You know that.
Yes, you would.
I'm sure I've inflicted this on you before, but hey, here we go. There was a very, very good short-run comedy series called This Morning with Richard Not Judy, which included a nascent, some would say larval, Johnny Vegas, legendary UK comedian and performer, as the host of their 24-hour news channel, who has himself been up for 24 hours. This meant that they filmed Johnny in a suit he was notionally wearing on a busy street somewhere with his hair disheveled, just getting progressively more belligerent, like throwing pieces of his script over his shoulder. They cut to him and he'd just be in the middle of a rant. The one which I've remembered for literally 30 years is, no weather, never gonna cut to the fucking weather, just news, endless news. So anyway, how have you been?
I like one of the suggestions of try not to laugh, fandom edition. Oh, yeah.
Oh, fuck.
That's a really, really good idea.
Beans.
Oh, beans. Oh, wait, I have that right here. Aw, beans. Yay. Right next to this one, which is title of my sex tape. Oh, yeah, that one's yours. It just gets to live with the rest of them because I'm a generous soul.
I am the house designated Jake Peralta. So, you know.
Endless news, yeah. Exactly. The real Infinite Jest. Hey, Naomi, how's it going?
Naomi. How you doing, buddy?
We should do like a panel. We should figure out if we could do like a panel interview.
You are literally
guests
seconds away from.
about
Let's just
writing.
organize a convention. Be very careful.
No, I need to not organize any conventions. Though, have you told people that you're a guest of honor at a convention?
You know what? I haven't.
You should
Have
tell.
you told people that you're at the same convention?
I am also at that convention.
Let's do it.
Okay, go forth.
We have been invited to.
You are invited.
To a deeply fantastic convention that has been organized by the wonderful Imperiosism.
And others.
And others. Marguerite is pulling up the details now.
Quick, vamp! It's called ArchiveCon.
ArchiveCon, and it is a TMA fan convention. And it is going to be the most fucking fun. Because we've been... Well, this thing happened where I believe it was Imperio who reached out to us and we went, well, yeah, obviously we want to do it. And then we put together 6 or 7 kind of semi-joke panel ideas, and Imperio went, good.
Okay, we'll take more.
And we were like, fuck.
So I don't think any of the paneling has been discussed yet, but one of the things we proposed is going to be hilarious, and I really hope it actually goes and it works.
We're going to tell them. I think we should tell them.
Should we tell? I don't want to rob ArchiveCon's thunder though, but we've done some chill, supportive, relaxing stuff. And we've done some deep thinky stuff. And then we've done some bizarre off the top of the head crazy stuff. Has some fun stuff. I'm going to be doing a panel with Asia about creating fan games.
Oh my god.
They are still open for panel
I'm
pitches.
sitting in on that one.
The event is running in June, so there's
Yes.
should we kind of go? The title is so
Do
good.
it. Do
The
it, do it,
title's
do
so
it, do
good.
it, do it,
And
do
the
it.
title is, "Can you have a parasocial relationship with yourself?"
We don't know.
We don't
Let's
know.
find out.
We're gonna talk about it. It'll be really fun. But the idea of the panel is, okay, what happens when you were a fan of a thing that you were also a part of? Like what is our relationship to Peter Lucas since there he is? You know, that's gonna be really cool. I can't wait to
Do
get
I
into it.
narrate cooking breakfast in a faintly sinister yet somehow Cumberbatchian way?
Yes, he does.
Yes,
on
I do.
occasion, very much so. Yes, exactly.
We Mary enjoys the sound of the eggs poaching.
Thank you.
What's a himbo?
You're adorable. You really are adorable. But ArchiveCon is free for people to attend. You just got to be 18 plus and register. And they're taking all sorts of suggestions for fan related and fan creation content. I'm doing a legal topic. I'm very excited about it, which is probably going to be just me talking to myself in a room because lawyers are boring, but I want to talk about it.
Well,
and it'll
I'm
be
going
fun.
to be there too, so no.
So yeah, if you're not off being a guest of honor at some other time. More importantly, what was slightly hilarious about these guest announcements is that many people on our Twitter feeds mistakenly looked at them and thought they were obituaries, and so we had several very concerned friends reach out and go, "Oh God, oh no, are you okay?" We're like, "We're fine. We're fine.
We are
It's
not in
all
fact
good.
dead."
We are not in fact dead. But it would in fact be peak us to keep working after we had died.
One of the maxims of the classic RPG Deadlands is can't get nothing done before you're dead.
Yeah, you don't get anything done in Deadlands so your heart stops, for sure. We are not dead, as you can see. And we will be at ArchiveCon, and we're really looking forward to it. It's going to be great.
And you know,
Mick, oh, hi there, Naomi. We are all chronic overworkers, and we all need to take very lengthy vacations where we don't work. I found a pair of shoes I want to buy to wear to Italy, and they're ridiculously expensive, and I might do it anyway.
do it.
Yes, do it. What is this? Not dead at all. What is this? Buried alive. Lodi, Wendy's tweet. Yes, Peter's back only to face his worst fear, a convention. Let's welcome Alasdair Stewart, VA of the one and lonely Mr. Lucas, which I loved. That was so well done. I thought that. And then I'm the everybody else's greatest fear, the lawyers.
Conventions and lawyers in one place. It's a madhouse. It's a
Send
madhouse.
lawyers, guns, and money. Right.
Oh, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, okay.
Shall we do a shenanigan?
Go on, seeing as you are.
Alrighty, so this is a fascinating and lovely Tumblr thread, which Alasdair has not read in advance, but I have. Yeah, drink of water is an excellent idea.
Speaking of chronic overwork, I should run this by someone else. A wizard being attacked by a druid in dog form in a tavern brawl because the wizard has been cheating at cards and has aces spilling out of his voluminous sleeve. Good concept or giant waste of time? Excellent concept.
Excellent concept. What is the preferred medium? Is this going to be a vignette described in prose or an art?
Do an art.
Do an art. Either way, it's already an awesome concept.
Yeah.
I love it. It's very much got the... Is it Morton Salt, which has the little girl with the umbrella and the dog pulling at her pants kind of vibe to it? It works quite well.
Well, obviously the little girl is the asshole because the dog wouldn't do that unless, you know.
Dog is a very good boy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Dog justice.
Dog justice. Some kind of sunscreen. Oh, okay. Nice. I like it. Okay, I like it. Picasso. Art project. You ready? Yes. See? That was another meme and y'all missed it. Okay. I don't know if this... Tearworn... I don't know what that is. Morton
Lawyers,
Souls...
guns, and money.
Yeah. A copper tone sunscreen is the... Thank you very much. That has been your 80s advertising trivia for the stream.
Walls of London.
Really?
Ooh.
There we go.
Also, I don't sing. Anyway.
Okay.
This is from Aira.
Right. So this is a Tumblr thread. So we'll give you the description of the speakers the first time through, but then we'll skip it because otherwise we're going to say their names 90 billion trillion times.
Rosemary. You mean spicy pine needles.
And this is by Malleus Silvestrius. Are you insinuating that regular pine needles aren't spicy?
Regular pine needles are regular.
Not by Rosemary standards.
Have you eaten pine needles?
We've been friends for like 4 years. Do you seriously have to ask if I've eaten pine needles?
I mean, I'm
or
pretty
not?
sure you have, but I don't want to assume.
Of course I've eaten pine needles. Various kinds. Single leaf pinion is weirdly the best.
Are they spicy?
You know, I'd love to tell you, but I'm pretty unclear about what marks the difference between spice and strong-tasting plant that isn't considered a spice.
I'll have to eat some pine needles to find out.
Okay, but it only counts if they're pine needles, and not just any old needle-like leaf off a tree.
I'm going to eat every needle-like leaf I see.
Please don't do that.
Needle-like leaf roulette.
I'll accept this plan as long as you promise not to eat any yew leaves.
I can try very hard not to.
Pine needles are distinguished by the presence of a sheath-like structure at the base of the leaf, almost always holding bundles of 2 or more leaves. Yews don't have the sheath thing.
It is time for me to go out into the woods and stare at needle leaves.
Finally, you can gain real insight into my daily life.
This is from Silva Geraci. This conversation reads like 2 Shakespeare characters who came out in the middle of the play to talk about something completely unrelated for comic relief and then are never heard from again.
Mortimer Mackay stinks. God fucking damn it, give me a minute. Enter Ario and Malleus Sylvestris, a pair of jesters.
I tell thee, rosemary is like a pine, but with a spicy taste.
Art thou to claim that needles, base of pine, have not a spice?
A needle base of pine is merely base.
'Tis not one held compared to Athos.
My dearest Malice, needles thou hast eaten?
How many moons have we as friends seen rise? How many suns as we have friends seen set? Thou 16 seasons in my heart I've held, and hope that I and thine hast at least the same. With brotherhood as rich and old as this, thou needest not ask me such frivolities.
I know thou likely has, to tell the truth, but I would not assume.
Well, yes, I have. A multitude of types I've eaten too. I'll tell thee now the best, though it is strange, is single leaf pinion.
And it has spice?
I truly wish that I could tell thee this, but now, in faith, I cannot fully tell. The difference in classifying thus, to say, has spice, or merely herbal strength.
To tell this tale most clearly, it would seem that eating needles from a pine's required.
Aye, it would seem that the task's at hand. But caution tells that this is what to do. Eat only needles of the honest pine, and none of lying leaf with pine-like shape.
I'll eat them all.
I prithee stay thyself.
Roulette with leaves.
At least restrain from you.
I'll do my best.
That is all we can do. The scholars tell that needles true of pine can be distinguished from the lying yew by sheath-like clothing all along the base. The yew has no such guard.
With this new truth, I now will venture out into the wood and seek the pines and pine-like fakes alike to stare them down and learn their secret truths.
With this thou canst at long and weary last discover for thyself mine life's own path.
Exeunt. Enter Macduff.
Macduff. Yo, dude, that king there's dead. Like, dead as fuck.
Bruh.
I love these. Lying leaf with pine-like shape. I know, there's some... I love how there are now people who apparently exist on Tumblr to take memes and put them into verse. It makes me very happy.
Wendy, that's a huge compliment, thank you. I saw a couple of performances of Midsummer Night's Dream. Too fucking young. And, yeah, some of it kind of stuck. Bottom or Horatio. Both of them. Those are my dudes.
Iambic pentameter. Yes, exactly.
Pentameter.
Pentameter. I thought they were going to make a joke about eating Burnham wood. Yeah, that would have been good.
It's visual, it's a background gag, technically foreground gag in a fantasy tavern. I'm having trouble drawing the dog. Had you considered scaling the dog? Make it like an enormous dog, like a big old English shepherd?
So you just see the aces falling. That would be cool. picturing in a robe like Wizard. All right.
That's been done. This weekend, actually. My pool robe is distinctly wizard-esque.
Yes,
Yes.
it is. Right, so we have these big giant like towel robes that we wear when we go swimming because then I can be lazy and not have to change. And his is bright red with a really big hood, so he looks like a cultist. I mean, a wizard.
Yes. Also, welcome, Like Good Vibes. Really good to have you. We're in our closing couple of minutes,
Yeah.
but the VOD will be available directly, and do check it out because the interview with Karim is brilliant.
Yeah, that was really, really fun. Pool wizard.
Pool wizard.
You are a...
You shall not splash.
Thanks for that. Oh, yeah. That one's going on the pile, isn't it? Okay.
I'm tired now.
You're wearing your lovely shirt, though. What is a wizard but a cult who worships themselves? I mean, fair. Some people call it ego. Other people call it...
Ego. They all call it ego
Management.
because it's all ego.
Exactly.
It's all ego. All of it.
The dancing. I know. Is he not adorable?
Bless you for referring to that as dancing.
Let's tell the fine folks where we're going to be next, because it's after midnight and our mods
After
and-
midnight.
and me need to go to bed because we had to get up very early this morning, and I have to get up very early again tomorrow because it is the last day of the quarter, and I am a lawyer and I'm tired.
We can next be found on Friday. Friday is going to be the release of the April Fool's Day issue of The Full Lid,
Yes!
which has a different title this week that you'll find
It's
out.
very delightful. We're taking a really different approach to the full lid this week, and it's going to be delightful. And we really hope you enjoy
And
it.
the two main stories all focus on the idea of story is deceit and lies as a tool of fiction. So there's a review of a fantastic new movie called Broadcast Signal Intrusion, starring Harry Shum Jr., who most of you may know from Glee. It is about as un-Glee-like as it is possible to get and still be in the same medium. And look at In and of Itself by Derek Del Gaudio, which is a magic show on Disney Plus, which is fucking astonishing.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of Darren Brown fans in the chat. If you haven't seen this, see it.
Yeah.
It blew me away.
Think Nanette by
Hannah Gadsby.
by Hannah Gadsby in stage magic form.
Yes.
It's really, really good and intense and emotional, but good. Very good. And that will be on Friday.
And then on Sunday,
And then on Sunday, we hurl ourselves
the universe
back
will
into
end
space
at least 4 times, I would guess.
as we consider my very first playthrough of Outer Wilds, where we have discovered things like black holes.
And the spooky rock. Don't forget the spooky rock.
There are lots of spooky rocks. There are lots of spooky things. I caught up on the VOD from last Sunday's Outer Wilds, and I am super excited to catch the next one live. We would love to have you join us. That will be starting around 10:30 in the morning, UK time. We're now in British summertime. Snow is expected this evening. British summertime on Sunday. We play for 2 hours, starting around 10:30 in the morning. And then we will be back here next week. Same bad time.
Same bad channel.
For more of Chapter 3 of Scarlet Hollow. Where last week there were dog politics.
Actual dog politics.
Which was so delightful. I'm really looking forward to more of it. We love it. We love Scarlet Hollow
Gretchen
so much.
is done with the mayor's shit.
And there are lots of people who've played it or completed the chapter and have made very different romantic choices than we have. And the fan art is becoming fascinating. And I think Abby Howard just released a new blog post about how early release, the mechanism on Steam, contributed to the development of a serial horror drama. I haven't had a chance to read it yet. I think it may be like a Patreon exclusive, and then it'll release publicly at some point. But everybody's very excited to see what choices we're going to make in Chapter 3. I don't know yet either, but I do know that I'm going to be speaking an awful lot because I think I voiced pretty much the entirety of last week. So I'm hoping... Dog politics, yes.
Also, I'm pretty certain we're about to go talk to Professor Dadbod, and he's me, baby.
Yes, there we go. So it will be a Rick rollicking good time. And as a reminder, we have lined up Abby Howard and Toby, whose last name I always forget, and I apologize. I really need to write it down. The creators of Scarlet Hollow will be our interview guest when we finish Chapter 3, which we are really, 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 really looking forward to. So that is going to be such a we're going to talk about all the things kind of chapter, which will be Tony Howard Arias. Thank you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I need to remember his last name.
I believe it's they.
My apologies. I need to remember their last name. So yeah.
Just as a quick aside, by the way, that reminds me of a very positive experience I had on Twitter, which almost never fucking happens.
So let us mark the occasion.
Yes. Those of you who don't know, the actor who plays the Flash, Ezra Miller, was arrested following an altercation in Hawaii yesterday. And as is often the case, this became a magnet for appalling takes from people who just want to have opinions at you. And I talked very briefly about this on Twitter and referenced Miller with him. Someone immediately popped up and went, they actually prefer they. And I was like, great, thank you for the steer. Deleted it, corrected it. I'm not saying this to blow my own trumpet. I am saying this to blow the trumpet of the Twitter user whose name I have completely forgotten, who corrected me on this, because it wasn't done belligerently, it wasn't done self-righteously, there was no confrontation to it at all. It was how you have to do it. Because even...
It's a factual correction.
Even people in extremist situations like that deserve their own pronouns.
Yep.
Because trans rights are human rights.
Yep, god damn it.
So, and it's that simple. And if you do get corrected on stuff like I did, it's okay. Just go, sorry, my bad, correct it. And go on.
What's the name of that comedian we've been watching a lot of? Russell Howard?
Russell Howard.
He has a great comedy bit about, all I ask is that if I get it wrong, that you don't yell at me because I'm English and you know what we're like with language.
I will in fact show you the sequence where he kind of picks on someone in the audience and goes, oh, you doing well? Is this your carer? And the lady goes, yeah. And by the way, Russell, we've met before. And he actually, he collapses on stage. He just lies there going, oh, God, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry. Hey, everyone, you saw my career end right now.
I have never seen Russell Howard before recently. And yeah, he's like Sarah Millican. I want some tickets. He's actually going to be on the Isle of Man giving a couple of shows in July. And the temptation to go is so strong.
He's at the venue.
Yeah, there is one venue on the island. Just so we can go and I can record his accent coming back. Because literally, you walk off the ferry, he sets foot on native soil, and then it's back.
Switch gets flicked.
It's so funny. It's
like
funny.
If I was ever able to stay for more than 72 hours in Yorkshire without my ears starting to bleed, that would start to come back out as well.
Yeah. Oh, okay. 3-day spa weekend in Harrogate. Wendy, make a note. There we go. Russell Howard seems like he should be one of those really obnoxious laddish comedians. He's so humane.
Yeah, that's exactly the word.
And he had this beautiful line for one of the sequences we watched, which is, life is a battle, laughter is a rest.
Yeah.
And I just really, really loved that. And he absolutely looks like a total...
Like a total lad bro.
And he's not. He's really sweet. It's quite nice.
I mean, I think the show... I forget the name of the show we watched. It's on Netflix. But it's his first mid-pandemic show. And he has this lovely routine about, scoffing at the whole... Just sing happy birthday to yourself as you're washing your hands. That'll be 20 seconds. He says, 2 hours later, I was in a Dutch toilet singing happy birthday to me. Turn around, there is a Dutch man standing there. He goes, congratulations,
he goes,
and leaves.
Happy birthday. Then just leaves. It's really funny. Right, so that's everywhere we're going to be. Mm-hmm. That's some of what we've done this week. I'm sure there was a lot more, but I can't freaking remember.
Somehow it's still fucking Wednesday. Well, technically it's Thursday, but...
Quick, we should go to bed before Thursday gets wise to us.
Oh my God. Real quick, just before we go, this was mentioned in passing in the interview with Karim. Look up Jason Isaacs' Death of Stalin on YouTube, because it is it's a good movie. It's perhaps not a movie to watch right now.
It is filthy.
But Jason Isaacs shows up as the head of the Russian army, played like a Yorkshire pit boss. And honestly, his delivery on the line, I'm smiling, but I'm fucking furious. It just, every line he has is gold. It's 2 minutes long. It's well worth your time.
It's brilliant. All right. Okay. I think that's everything.
Thank you very much, folks. We have extensive notes.
You've been...
I've been Misty Captain Birdseye. Our guest has been Evil Sky Grandad.
And I've been Marguerite.
We'll see you next time.
Have a good night, everybody. Show notes will be out shortly. Bye.